Well, hello. Welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on January 6th, 2022. We're going to continue our episode on uh, grandpas that throw down. And so far, we have seen quite a few grandpas that are really hardcore, really badass. A couple of them are martial art experts and masters in their own right. Without exception, this week we have yet another grandfatherly figure that is a fantastic master of uh, none other than ninjutsu. What is ninjutsu? That is a martial art of the ninja. But before we get to that, uh, I want to digress into something else first. You see, this past year, 2021, was on Chinese calendar the year of the metal ox. But strangely enough, it almost seemed like the year of the rat, which was the year prior to 2021. The year of the rat was lingering on in some strange and bizarre way. Uh, I seem to have some weird encounters with rats in 2021. When Kitten and I went to visit our friend Remy and his beautiful family, we found out that Remy and family kept three pet rats at home. And that was a bit of a surprise. And just a few days uh, after that, when our good friend Darren came over for lunch, he told me he saw a giant rat in my garage. Yeah, not the kind of thing you want people to tell you when you're totally blind. So, needless to say, ever since Darren told me about the giant rat and how big it was, and uh, by the way, I have been receiving packages from friends and family during and around Christmas, and we've had packages that actually got eaten, got destroyed by rats as well. So I have been on the lookout for these annoying culprit, and I finally caught one, and I'm going to show it to you guys on camera. Now allow me to tell you the story of a rat's life. Long time ago, in the distant land of Japan, there was a ninja master by the name of Hamato Yoshi. Hamato Yoshi was one of the best ninja and a kind and gentle master. He was pretty much without rival, with the exception of one person. One person in the whole Japan could rival his skill in ninjutsu. This person was known as Oroku uh, Saki. Oroku Saki would later become the chief nemesis to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, called the Shredder. But at this point, he's known as Oroku Saki. So Hamato Yashi and Haruko Saki, they were rivals not only in martial art and in the leadership of the ninja clan, but they also competed with each other over the love, the affection of a woman named Shang. However, Shang had no interest in Haruko Saki. She only had love for Hamato Yashi. So she and Yashi decided to leave Japan and go to the United States and have a new life together, away from the politics, the martial arts, the fighting, the ninja clan. One day, when Hamato Yashi was out and about doing his ninja business, uh, Haruku Saki broke into the house and murdered Shang. When Yashi came home, he found Shang's body on the ground, and it was then when Haruku Saki attacked him. During the struggle, the cage of Yashi's pet rat broke open, and the rat leapt upon Haruku Saki's face, biting and scratching. In the fit of fury, Haruku Saki threw the rat down on the ground and took a swipe at the rat with his katana, cutting off one of the rat's ear. In the end, Haruku Saki killed Hamado Yashi and gained control of the ninja clan. The rat survived the grievous injury of losing one of his ear, ended up in New York City somehow, and started living in the sewer. While living in the sewer of New York City, the rat ran into four baby turtles, which the rat started to take care of. One day, when the rat woke up, he found the turtles playing in a puddle of green goo leaking out of a broken glass container. This turned out to be the industrial uh, waste or the industrial compound called the mutagen, a compound that would mutate anything that touches it. Needless to say, the rat and the turtles soon mutate into humanoid creatures. The four turtles were named Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Donatello. And the rat, their basically adopted father and master, became known as Splinter, Master Splinter. Master Splinter then taught the turtles the way of the ninja, and the rest was history. That is, of course, a movie version of the story. In the original story in the cartoon, it wasn't exactly the way I just uh, narrated narrated the story. The original story had the ninja master uh, Hamato Yashi surviving the treacherous attack by the Shredder, and he fled into the sewer and ran into these baby turtles, and then got mutated. So this is a minor difference. In the original story, it was actually the man, the ninja master, that turned into the rat, but in the movie version, the rat turned into the man. When you really think about it, a man turning into a rat is a little bit more credible because a rat turning into the man is a little bit hard to understand. How is it that he is a master of ninjutsu? I mean, I understand that when his master was practicing, he was watching from the cage. But you know what? I mean, Aslan, my cat, watches me practice all the time, and that still doesn't mean that he's going to be a Krav Maga cat or Krav Maga master or anything like that. So anyway, suspending disbelief aside, it is a good story, and the Splinter is one of the more lovable characters. There's many lovable characters in Ninja Turtles, but the Splinter is definitely one of the lovable characters. Very wise and gentle, and uh, he is the glue that holds the Ninja Turtles together. My own fondness of anything related to Ninja Turtle, and of course, that includes Master Splinter, go back to one of the very few fond memories I've had from the first time I came to Canada when I was 9 years old. I remember watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon on TV, or catching a little bit of it before going to school. And a lot of times it didn't really make sense to me, but it still made me feel that that was one of the few brighter points of my day. And it was because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle that I fell in love with pizza, of course. And Master Splinter always made me so wistful that if only I could have a wise old master in my life that would help me figure out how to deal with all the troubles and all the abuse I was going through. Back in the 90s, the Ninja Turtle toys were all the rage. They were made by Playmates at the time, and there were so many of them, so many variations with turtles in different costumes and so many different villains in both the regular size and the deluxe size action figure. I still have fond memories of the time because back then a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure was only $4. It was that cheap. I mean, even for a child like me who was going through a hard time, if I save money, if was careful with my money, I could, if in theory, I would be able to buy a new Ninja Turtle action figure every week. Of course, I didn't because I had a lot of other traumatic stuff I was dealing with at the time, so I definitely wasn't collecting anything back then. Um, but I definitely did have some fond memories of encountering these earlier Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures. And later, when I went back to Taiwan after 1991 and sort of got my feet under me, I started collecting a lot of these Ninja Turtle figures. And I had one of the original Splinter made by Playmates. I remember it quite fondly, actually, um, because I always found that Splinter was a really cute rat. And I remember he came with some throwing stars and a walking stick or something that he could use. And uh, sadly, I don't remember whatever happened to my Splinter and my Ninja Turtle collection. But I was very delighted to hear that companies such as Super 7 and Neca were bringing back the Ninja Turtles and its various enemies and heroes and associates. Uh, in the past few years, we've seen some fantastic Ninja Turtle action figures made in the more modern scales with more modern articulation. So it is because of that that we have a Master Splinter with us today. This version of Master Splinter was based on his appearance in the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, and this was made by Neca, I believe, uh, either early 2020 or late 2019. He is here depicted wearing a cream-colored set of robes with a lot of holes and grines on it, like he's been living in the sewer. He's also got a black belt around his waist. Now, the belt and the robe, they're soft good, and I was told that if you work at it, you can actually take it off him, and you can see how well his fur is sculpted underneath. I want to give you a word of caution. I tried, and uh, you can't tell it. You can't tell on camera, but my Master Splinter actually got a broken right arm at the shoulder joint because when I was trying to take the rope off, the arm joint just simply was not going to cooperate. And when I put a little bit too much force on it, his arm broke off. So after the video, I'm going to have some repairing to do. This is going to, this is like the fifth or sixth time I broke an action figure for the sake of Toy Thursday. Uh, Very annoying whenever this happens, but hey, it happens. So that is to say, if your plan is to try to remove the rope, be very, very, very careful. Uh, he is a very delicate action figure, and if you apply force in the wrong place or too much force on his joint, they will break, and it will be a little bit difficult to fix him. That little warning aside, this is a very well made action figure. The expression on his face really come across as an old, wise, peaceful, calm rat. And this is quite amazing when you're talking about a action figure that essentially covered in sculpted fur. And he really had quite a bit of personality to him. There's a lot of gentleness and a lot of calmness and wisdom you can see in the face of this action figure of Master Splinter. Looking at him from profile from the right side, we see that they even included the missing ear. The ear on his right side is missing. That is the ear, of course, sliced off by the katana held by Arukusaki, who later became known as the Shredder. Now here I've got to uh, speak up for Shredder a little bit because have always been a big fan of the Shredder. I know he's really goofy as a villain, but I think he had a lot of really badass quality to him, and I feel that sometimes the Shredder has been downplayed because they are trying to make the show child friendly. But if you look at the Shredder being portrayed in comic books and in the original story, he's actually a very dangerous, very accomplished evil martial arts sensei in his own right. Now, when you really think about it, there's a rat attacking your face. You grab the rat and you throw the rat on the floor, and then you grab your katana. While the rat is trying to run away, you cut the ear off the rat. Just give yourself a second to imagine what kind of crazy skill that would take. I mean, yeah. So, uh, as much as the bad guy the Shredder is, we have to give credit where credit is due. He is a hell of a ninja master to be able to do something like that. Now back to Master Splinter. Now we look at him from the other side of his face. Like I said, the robe and the belt, they're soft, good, but the rest of him have a very rough fur, sculpted fur texture to him. Uh, some parts of him actually feel a little bit too rough, almost like they're sharp. Some of these fur sticking out of him, like the fur around his elbow joints and the side of his face, they are a little bit sharp. So when you handle this guy, you got to be a little bit careful because it might hurt your finger. He is, of course, kind of a skinny, small-ish character. And I mean, even on the show, he's kind of an old rat, so he's not going to be all nimble and jumping around. Although he did go single-handedly one-on-one against the Shredder at the end of the movie. So that is pretty impressive. Definitely qualifies him to be a grandpa that doesn't scared, not scared to throw down when the need arises. Most of the really useful joints on this action figure are in torso and his neck. As you can see, he can tilt his head really far up, like putting his nose up towards the ceiling. He also has a ball joint in his chest and in his waist, so he can sort of hunch forward uh, quite a bit when you work at it. But again, you got to be careful with this action figure because too much force and you will break him. There are joints in his shoulder, elbow, wrist. There's some way swivels in his arms, so he can uh, turn his arm in and out as well. But a lot of this will be sort of limited by the robe he is wearing. And again, the joints are very thin, very delicate. So be careful when you work them. Like some of the Neca's uh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, the plastic, maybe it's the plastic, maybe it's the construction, but the joints have some gumminess to them. So when you try to bend them, sometimes you feel the plastic flexing and warping rather than joints working. So one thing that you can do is to heat him up a little bit in hot water before you do anything with him. Of course, with a cloth robe, that is going to be a tad more messy than usual. It's almost like you'll be doing his laundry for him, but warm him up and he'll be less likely to break when you try to move him around. Actually, speaking of that, uh, this is one of the shortcomings of this particular Splinter action figure that you actually do have to give him the hot water treatment if you want him to be able to interact with his accessories. For accessories, Master Splinter comes with a pair of nunchucks. that he used at the end of the movie to fight the Shredder with. These are sculpted with a sort of a more dynamic pose. There's no way to really um, change the position of the nunchuck unless you, again, give it a hot water treatment, warm up the plastic, then you can pose it in a few different ways. But otherwise, what you see is what you get. It's going to sort of curve in on itself like this. Um, so that is one of the accessories that Master Splinter comes with. The other accessory he comes with is a little jar. This is a jar where the original mutagen came from, a mutated human turtle. Uh, this you can actually open the lid. Of course, there's nothing in it, uh, and it's a little bit hard to get him to hold it. So I have to use some clear rubber band to make sure it stays on his in his hand. Otherwise, this thing will just roll around and go missing all the time, especially if the cats get a hold of it. The last piece is a little bit of a WTF moment because he actually comes with a slice of pizza. Now, if you know Master Splinter, he has no interest in pizza. He doesn't like pizza. So it's kind of perplexing that Neca would have included a slice of pizza with him. However, no, if we are talking about a Ninja Turtle collection, you can never be end up with too many slices of pizza. So it's always good to have some extras laid around for your Ninja Turtles to have fun with. Uh, it's kind of small, so I hope you guys can see it on the camera with Master Splinter holding it upside down like this. Now, this brings us to one of the biggest problems with this action figure, which is you see how I'm able to get him to hold his accessories. If when you first get him out of the box, there's no way for him to do it. Both of his hands are made in open poses, so he can't grip anything out of the box. So you have to use a hair dryer or some hot water to soften up his hands and then carefully bend his fingers so he makes a fist and then quickly dip him under cold water so the plastic will get solid again. This is how I'm able to get his hand to uh, be able to hold his accessories. Now, when it comes to a very, very highly valued, very highly praised company like NECA, this just seemed like a very silly oversight to make action figures come with accessories and yet make them unable to grip their accessories unless you do some customization at home. That's just almost uh, not forgivable when it's a company like NECA. But all in all, Master Splinter is a very well-made action figure. Unfortunately, uh, he is a little bit broken now, so I have to go repair him. But he brings back a lot of childhood memory for me, and when you see one of the few rare incidences where he actually get down and start fighting enemies, such as fighting the Shredder, and in a few episodes of the cartoon, we see him fight the rat catcher robots and stuff like that. He is definitely an old grandfatherly rat that still can kick a few uh, mutant robot butts left, right, and center. So for that, he definitely qualifies to be a grandpa that throws down.